Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Dan Hushin. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at DXC Technology. I'm joined today with Gary Stockman, our Chief Marketing Officer, as well as Carlos Gutierrez, the Chief Race Strategist with Team Penske. I'm really excited. The video you just saw was DXC delivering with a semi-autonomous drone the green flag at the Texas Motor Speedway DXC 600 race last year. This is our second year of sponsorship, and we're really excited in actually bringing the race to life for our fans through the technology we're going to deliver this year. I'd like to kind of start off by asking each of my guests, Gary and Carlos, to kind of introduce themselves real quickly.
That's great. Thanks, Dan. I'm Gary Stockman. As Dan mentioned, I'm the Chief Marketing Communications Officer here at DXC Technology, and I'm joining you today from our headquarters office in Tysons, Virginia.
And good afternoon. My name is Carlos Gutierrez, and I'm with Team Penske. And today I'm in Detroit, getting ready for the IndyCar race this weekend.
So this is going to be a lot of fun today. I honestly believe we are broadcasting live, getting ready to launch the DXC Technology car number 22, piloted by Simon Pagenaud. To the DXC 600. Now, this is really exciting because Simon actually has just finished sweeping the IndyCar series for May with wins at the Indy GP, and then this last weekend, at the Indy 500. One of the areas where DXC has been really focused with Team Penske is to really put machine learning and artificial intelligence to work in helping the race team perform better, win more races, and have strategies that continually improve themselves to make them even more of an unbeatable team in the marketplace. I'd love to kind of start out real quickly by asking Carlos to talk a little bit about the importance of strategy and how close you guys were to the ragged edge of that strategy last week in Indianapolis.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, fortunately, last week we had the winning strategy in Indianapolis with the 22 car and Simon Pagenaud, and really the strategy has become so important in understanding what our competitors are doing, and that's where AI and technology and our partnership with DXC is really coming into play here, because as we make those decisions throughout the race, we're taking a risk reward, and our currency in racing is time. Just how long is it going to take to do this strategy versus the other strategy, and fortunately with the tools that we're using and the decisions that we were making, it worked out really well, and fortunately we won the Indianapolis 500 last week.
Sorry about that. It was an interesting race last week for sure. A lot of unexpected things happening that I certainly hadn't seen, at least in that volume before. But an exciting race right to the end. And maybe Carlos, you were telling me before, how close you guys were on fuel, and how some fortuitous strategy, kind of almost expecting some yellow flags, played into that victory.
Oh boy, it's really close. It's so critical at Indianapolis to be running up front, and the disadvantage to be kind of leading the race there is you're actually using quite a bit more fuel than your competitors. And when you're using more fuel, you might have to do more stops. So, with the 22 car, we ended up being a little bit off strategy in terms of how far we could go. And that was actually going to add a stop to the end of the race. But fortunately, with the timely yellow flag, that allowed us to save some fuel and then make it to the end of the race.
It's awesome. So strategy is important. And this, for me, kind of, brings us right back to something that we're doing really for the first time at this race. We have been working with Penske over the past couple of months to really bring the analytics associated with race strategy to life. And we're launching a beta of our race strategy application. This is really important to me because this application kind of has two key facets to it. So one is the AI actually is valuable to Penske in terms of ways that they can build better models to both A/B test or Monte Carlo test their strategy, but also new ways of visualizing information and allowing a broader set of people to contribute to the strategy. Team Penske actually participated with our DXC Digital Technology Center in NOLA in really a daily stand-up scrum over several weeks to build out these complex AI models, right, to help the DXC team truly understand the strategy facets, really analyze hundreds of dimensions, right, simultaneously for these optimizations. And then, we really then put a rich web experience on top of it to change the way that fans and lay people like myself can interact with that app. The beta is fairly simple. It really focuses in on fuel management, which I think Carlos just brought up with respect to its capabilities. But we certainly have in backlog several of the other strategic switches that you have as a race strategist. Maybe Carlos, you can talk a little bit about some of the facets, right, that you've helped to design into this. Maybe the fuel map settings, like you went into around fuel management at Indianapolis.
Right, and I think that's one of the most interesting components about this application here is that you really start to get the sense of how quickly the decisions need to be made, during the race. At the DXC 600, the lap times are anywhere between 20 and 25 seconds, and every lap you're going to have to start making decisions and really what fuel mixture, what fuel performance you want to be in, how much fuel you're going to be saving against your competitors, and which decisions are you going to be making. So I think the cool part about this application is that it really captures that sense of timeliness and the decision-making process that we actually have to do on the timing stand during a race, and it's bringing that forth to the fans to be able to get that same intensity and frequency that we see at the racetrack.
No, it's a lot of fun. And just to give you guys an idea of what the AI model is actually built in. So, one of the facets that Carlos pointed out is that when you're running up front, you use more fuel. And when you're running behind another driver a certain distance, you use less fuel, which allows you to fundamentally change, right, the leanness that the car is running, save a little bit of gas. The AI will actually do that for you. So you'll actually see as you're catching up to another driver in front of you that you actually begin to speed up. And the AI will also then allow you to turn down your fuel setting and save a little bit of fuel. So you can actually run that fuel speed game, right, when you're down there at DXC 600. So it's going to be quite a bit of fun. And I think for our data scientists, they're very excited because this is a chance for them to actually kind of prove out, right, what your race strategy is and how the AI actually performs a similar race strategy to determine how accurately the model tracks what's happening on the track. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting, and we're going to really make this application very, very available. There's a web link at the bottom of the application. This will be available to anyone who happens to be at the race. It's a rich web application, so it'll run on mobile browsers just as it'll run on your PC browsers at home, and allow you to kind of follow along and race the Penske drivers and whoever's in number one. But we think that'll be Simon again, so it'll just be Simon up front.
That's right.
So that's a lot of fun, and we think it's really going to change the way that fans can get more. I really think that an educated fan is a more loyal fan, and so this is just one attempt that we're working on with a broad set of our partners, Texas Motor Speedway and others, to change the way that fans interact with the racetrack and with the race itself and with the drivers. And so, Gary, maybe if you want to go through some of the other trackside work that we're doing.
Absolutely, thanks. And the example that you've just given is a great one in terms of, in answering the question why are we involved in IndyCar? Why are we involved with Team Penske? Fundamentally, we exist to use technology to help our clients improve performance. In this case, that performance is measured, as Carlos mentioned, in seconds on the racetrack. In other businesses, it may be measured by sales or the insights and health outcomes. Any performance-related parameters. That's really what we're focused on. And the opportunity we have here with the DXC 600 is to begin to bring that to life for race fans. And so we'll be doing some things that show how technology can be used to improve performance, as we just heard described in the application. We're also looking at providing one-of-a-kind experiences using virtual reality. We'll have a couple of 360-degree cameras, one mounted on start-finish. It'll allow you to look up and down the track during the race while cars are moving at speed. We'll have another that will create the sensation for people wearing the VR goggles of actually being in the car for a hot lap around the Texas Motor Speedway. So there's opportunities here to use virtual reality, to use augmented reality. We'll have a DXC virtual pit stop that will allow people to use augmented reality to show them how to complete a tire change in under 6 seconds. So we're doing a lot to showcase the way DXC technology uses technology to improve performance.
That's fantastic. Now, I do see a couple of questions beginning to bubble up. So before we go into some of the rest of the cool tech that we have, including a simulation of the pit stop, if you want to show that, right? Lisa Braun has asked, how much data does data really drive decision-making during the race versus human judgment on the data today? And, do you expect, right, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, that you're going to be able to make a decision, that the team will continue to make decisions that go against the data?
Well, I think it's tremendously important, the data that we collect and the data that we use to make those decisions. But what I want to enforce, though, is that the data that we use allows us to make more educated decisions. So coupled with Mr. Penske's 50 years in racing of experience as a race strategist, the data that we provide to him and the visualizations that we provide to him, the way that we communicate that information, and we attach his experience onto that, it's unparalleled, the ability for us to make decisions now. Because before, you might just have that 50 years of experience with no data backing the information, the decisions that you're making. Well, when we can have that together, it makes us a more powerful team. And so I don't think data is ever going to replace the human decision-making factors, but it's the humans that are going to make the weightings of, okay, this is the risk that I want to take. I want to take maybe a 5-second risk for potentially a 2-position gain. And it's going to be up to the strategist to make that decision. So I don't think that it's ever going to replace the humans in that capacity, but together is where we can be the most powerful.
Yeah, there's no question. There's uncertainty in knowledge that I think is still not digitizable. I mean, one of the models that we talk about a lot is this notion of a digital twin, right? What we're really talking about with AI is actually taking the physical world and trying to create a database representation of it, so we can then allow a computer to actually go through the optimization of these very complex systems and help us to understand the patterns and how those optimizations might improve certain situations. Right, we've actually coined a term at DXC called bionics, right, that we're operating our business on. And the idea is that, we think that this stage of AI that we're in, right, data is, the models are making people better. They're giving them advice. They're giving them knowledge that says 80% of the time, right, this will be a better outcome, but 20% of the time, this will be a better outcome. And there may be other facets that are not yet modeled, right, in that digital twin, right, that'll force someone to make a different decision. So, I think we'll be a while before we allow computers to make these decisions. But, someone could ask a similar question that said, how long until computers drive race cars? And but that's a different one. There are a couple more questions that come up, and maybe, Gary, you want to take this one, being in the communications marketing space. There are 3 or 4 here about are immersive technologies going to make in-person sports events obsolete, right? That's from Harold. And I think there's a similar one here from Nico asking, if an immersive experience is like being at the sports event, then how will that affect attendance and sales and other items like food, merchandise, and the overall economics?
I mean, I think it's a great question, and it's debatable. And my personal view is, at the moment, I think our focus is in the same way that you described bionics as augmenting human performance. Many of the technologies we'll be showing in the DXC Digital Suite at Texas are designed to use technology to enhance the fan experience. So giving you insight into race strategy and decision making that goes on at the track. Giving you an opportunity to have a different view than you might have otherwise. To me, those are additive to the experience of actually being present. And I don't know, as good as the technology is, Dan, and you might have a perspective on this, how do you approximate the sights, the smells, the sounds, and the sensations of actually being at a racetrack for an IndyCar race? I think that will take some doing.
I'm with you. I've done the virtual basketball games, sitting under the hoop of, and I look at them also as augmented experiences. There's nothing like, sitting next to hundreds of screaming fans, but we are starting to see some events begin to be cannibalized, right? We've run some virtual conferences in which you literally pick who you want to sit next with, and you all sit in the best seat in the house. and it does change, right, the way that you experience those conferences and sometimes make them more accessible. So it's exciting. The best seat in the house for us, right, is a really big piece because of a wide variety of factors, right? The idea is, we're going to provide an augmented experience to the people that are there. And it could be, right, that working with race sponsors like NBC and others in the future, that they will begin to use those as part of their broadcast as well. Because I think whether you tether a drone in the sky and are able to watch your driver, right, by spinning your head around with your Oculus goggles on, or whether you are merely dialing in just to get a really cool view of a car going under start finish, I think all of these are just parts of the experience that you get when you're at these events at large. A few more questions, right? Andrew has asked, with the win this past weekend, do you have a specific example where the data has helped you to gain an edge and win at Indy 500? So is there any one moment where you use data to kind of guide that strategist to the right decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even going back to the week before the race and qualifying, we had a team of 4 cars running the race, or participating in the race. So we were qualifying. Fortunately, 3 of our 4 cars made it into the Fast 9 qualifying session, and they have to go in single file, single car qualifying. And so from the 2 previous cars on our team, we were able to see and learn what's the characteristics of the track right now compared to how they were yesterday. What adjustments do we need to make from what we learned from the 12 car that's running now and the 2 car that's running now? What does the 22 car need to do to be able to secure this pole position? And so that's exactly what we did. Is we got the feedback from the drivers, we got the data from the car, and we were able to make some minute tweaks there at the end just to make sure that we were in a good position to qualify and eventually earn the pole position for the Indy 500.
And Carlos, remind us, what was the gap between pole and P2?
Oh man, I don't know the exact time. I think it was maybe 2/100ths of a second or even less. Yeah. And that's over 4 laps. So it's a tremendously tight field, and those tiny little adjustments are what make the difference, for us to be able to compete at that level.
Yeah, what's important is, and competing at that level, I think, is the operative phrase there, because all of these race teams are so talented and have people who are tuning and have strategists and so on, that using technology to gain an edge, even an edge of a couple of 100ths of a second, can mean an enormous difference.
And then also the speed at which we achieve that level of performance. So every time everybody gets to the racetrack at the same time, we unload our cars at the same time, and when we start running those first few laps, we have to know right away if we're off or we're right on target. And if we're off and they're off, we have to be the first ones to get to the right spot in our performance. So that speed at which we achieve our goals, if we can do that faster than the competition based on the technology partnerships that we have and the AI models that we've built, that's the game changer for us, really.
Yeah, that's critical, especially with everything Indy has done to normalize the field, right? I mean, with Dallara now carrying the full standardized both cockpits, but also aerodynamic packages, right? You're and Firestone being the only wheel provider and only 2 engine providers, and everybody having a lottery for the boxed engine, right? There's an awful lot of standard out there, right? So you have to find your differences where you can. So there are a ton more questions. There's one that seems to be a recurring theme, right? Which is, well, okay, so everyone's pretty excited about being an armchair quarterback and using the app, and so Shanker's got it, and Jerry's got it, and a few others have brought it up. So thank you for the question. So the quick answer is, we're starting out with Texas Motor Speedway. But because Penske has such a rich racing history, we actually have similar training data for other tracks. Now we've gained permission from TMS, right, to map and model their track, and we're going to have to work a little bit closer with the other tracks in IndyCar to get to the other tracks, and we will do that because we think it's actually just an important part of the fan experience, and we'll see what we can do to make that more available, even if that means open sourcing the application so that it can be more broadly accessible. And we'll figure out what that means. Not all the AI, don't worry, Carlos. We'll hold that to you. But beyond that, There's questions about the devices. So the quick answer is it's a web experience today. We will be doing application native experiences. Those experiences will be available on the popular mobile platforms to, again, drive as much accessibility as we possibly can. And we'll do that largely as fast as we can in the marketplace. There is another piece of this, and I'm just going to throw a slide up real quick so you can begin to see, right, another one of these AI experiences. Where'd it go? So, we do have this virtual pit stop, which is a fully immersive experience that allows you to go to any angle on the car, to walk around the car and the car model, to actually put the signboard down, to stop the car as it comes in, to then put the air jack underneath it. This isn't very stable video. To put the air jack underneath it, which actually pops the car up on the ground. There are 4 posts on the bottom of the car that are pneumatically controlled. So that lifts the car up. We'll then take a wrench, right? We'll remove the front tire. We'll remove the tire. We'll put a new tire on, just to demonstrate to the fans, right, how that can occur. Now, this is available as an open model that we've constructed, and I just happen to be using a PTC viewer that's available on the iPhone, right, to kind of show this off. But it also works on the HoloLens and other tools. Now, we build training simulators and real-life augmented reality capabilities for a number of firms, from utility companies who actually want to run through checklists while a technician is working on a high voltage line, to tools to both train and assist mechanics when they're fixing engines in cars, to help them to localize, to find the right tool, to localize the right place, doing the same thing on a medical operating field to make sure all the tools are in the same place, in the right place. And so we're finding that augmented reality and virtual reality is a very real training tool, but also safety and process improvement tool for a lot of our firms. And we will, again, be making this application, right, available across a wide variety of formats. And so that question about formats, right, augmented reality is supported on both of the major cell phone platforms today, both Android as well as iPhone with ARKit. And so we will be able to provide the best seat in the house, the stereoscopic vision that you'll begin to see, some of the 3D video that will be coming out of the car itself as it takes a high-speed lap, and making that widely available via these standardized AR technologies. And so that'll really open up, I think, the landscape to anyone who has a mobile device being able to use it. I want to do one quick shout out on the team from our Digital Transformation Center in NOLA. This team has been working tirelessly on the application, has done an amazing job. I saw yet another beta version go out today, and we're probably going to do a couple more turns before we get there to clean a few last things up. They got a huge backlog of things from Carlos and from me taking on a fan engagement piece, but they're doing a remarkable job. So I just wanted to thank the team at NOLA. With that, kind of come back now to some of the additional questions. Oh, you guys didn't even see my video. That's great.
No, but you gave a rich description, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. Now you may be seeing the NOLA team, and I'll just, this is just the video. I'm not going to play it through, but I'll just show you guys, right? The pneumatic, air. I don't even know what it's called.
Air jack. Yep.
Air jack going into the back of the car. So really exciting times at the race. We're going to be doing a lot with AI. You're going to hear that as a common theme. But really, if there was one takeaway that we want for the race, it's that really whether it's business or racing, this notion of digital twin really defines digital. So I want to give the last words to Gary and Carlos. Anything you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, I think we're looking forward as we started out with as you mentioned at the opening, delivering the green flag, using an autonomous drone at Texas last year. We're taking it up another level with the DXC Digital Suite this year, and some of the things that we'll be showing, and the things that we're making accessible for people remotely, particularly the application. And we're looking forward to to fans really taking this journey with us. We're going to learn through their interaction, particularly with the strategy application. It's a great opportunity for us, not only to learn, but to showcase some of the things that digital technology can do broadly to improve performance and fan experience and decision making. So it's going to be a great race.
That's awesome. Carlos, maybe take us out with a little bit of your strategy for Detroit this week.
Oh, I can't share that. I can't share that.
All right.
But I think we're so proud to have partnerships with DXC Technology at Team Penske, because really it's really helped elevate our performance, and more exciting to me now is that the fans are getting able to see a little bit, even if it's a small part of it, just to see what kind of tooling that we're going to be able to provide to the fans and to the race team, that's allowing us to maintain that level of performance. Because as it changes, things are changing really quickly in the performance industry, and with partnerships like DXC, it's really letting us stay at the forefront of all of that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Carlos, Gary, for joining today, and hope to see all of you guys at the DXC 600, or at least following along virtually with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.